In 2019, a collector walked into a Patek Philippe boutique in Geneva wearing a watch that cost $250. He had been wearing it for 3 years. The watch was a Seiko Presage Cocktail Time, a 40mm automatic dress watch with a sunburst blue dial that catches light the way a much more expensive object should and usually does not. The boutique employee assumed, from the distance of the display case, that the man on the other side of the glass was wearing something from the $1,700 tier of the Swiss market. He was not wearing anything from the Swiss market at all. He was wearing a Japanese watch with an in-house Seiko automatic movement, a domed crystal, and a dial finished to a standard that should have no business existing at that price point. He bought a Patek that day. He kept wearing the Seiko. That story is not unusual in the collector community. It is close to universal. The people who understand watchmaking the best are the people most likely to have something deeply unfashionable on their wrist, something from a brand the person next to them at the dinner table has never heard of, something that costs less than a round of drinks at the kind of restaurant where people discuss watches. We're going to go through 10 watches that do exactly what that presage did in the boutique. Make you look twice, make the person next to you assume something that is not true, and deliver an experience that should require 5 times the money to achieve. The industry is counting on you to never find these watches. They have been sitting on the shelf the entire time. The first watch that feels shockingly more expensive than it is costs between $250 and $350 depending on the configuration and where you buy it. It is the Seiko Presage Cocktail Time, and the name alone should tell you why the collector community has been talking about it for over a decade. Seiko introduced the Presage line in 2010 as the brand's elevated dress watch range positioned above the Seiko 5 sports automatics and below the Grand Seiko tier, designed to demonstrate what Japanese watchmaking could achieve in a traditional dress watch context at a price the mass market could actually access. The Cocktail Time dial is the reason people stop and look. The sunburst lacquer finish changes from deep navy to electric blue to almost silver depending on the angle of the light, because the dial surface is machined with directional grooves that catch and reflect light differently as the watch moves. That technique is called a sunburst finish, and at this price point, with this level of consistency, it should not exist. The automatic movement inside is the Seiko Caliber 4 R35, a 23 joule movement with a 41-hour power reserve, hand winding capability, and a hacking seconds function that stops the seconds hand while the crown is pulled to allow precise time setting. The caseback is exhibition glass, which means you can see the movement operating from the back of the watch. The case is 40mm in stainless steel, the strap is calfskin leather or stainless steel depending on the reference, and the overall proportions read as a dress watch for someone who has spent time around dress watches and made intentional decisions about what that means. Put it on a wrist next to a $2,000 Swiss dress watch and ask 10 people which one is more expensive. You will not get a unanimous answer. The second watch that belongs on this list costs between $200 and $240 and is made by a brand that the mainstream watch market has been systematically ignoring for years, to the benefit of everyone willing to look past the name. The Orient Bambino is a round-cased, leather-strapped, dome crystal dress watch that exists in a category the watch community calls entry automatics, but that delivers finishing quality the entry automatic price does not typically support. Orient has been making watches in Japan since 1950 and was absorbed into the Seiko Corporation in 2009, which means it shares manufacturing infrastructure with a parent brand that has been building in-house movements since the 19th century. The Bambino's movement is the Orient Caliber F6724, produced entirely in-house, beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, with a 41-hour power reserve and manual winding capability. The case is 40mm. The crystal is a high-dome mineral glass that reads as more expensive than flat mineral in the way it catches light and adds dimension to the dial below it, and the dial is available in colors that include cream, navy, white, and black with applied hour markers in gold tone or silver depending on the configuration. The combination of the dome crystal and the applied indices creates the visual impression of a watch from the $1,500 tier. Every person who has put the Orient Bambino next to a Swiss dress watch at twice the price and asked a non-collector to evaluate them has received the same result. The Bambino is consistently assessed as the more expensive or equally expensive piece by people who do not already know both price points. At $200, it is the most under-discussed value proposition in the entry watch market. The third watch costs between $250 and $350 and is made by Casio, which is a sentence that the luxury watch community reads differently from how it should be read. The Casio Edifice EQB1100 is a solar-powered chronograph with Bluetooth connectivity, a stainless steel case and bracelet, and a dial layout that at first glance reads as a professional sports chronograph from the mid-Swiss tier. The Edifice line was designed specifically to occupy the visual space of a $400 to $800 sports chronograph at a price point available to anyone with a budget above $200. The solar cell embedded beneath the dial powers the movement indefinitely under any light source, eliminating the battery replacement costs that quartz watches typically carry. The Bluetooth connectivity syncs the timekeeping to your phone automatically, which means the watch sets itself and corrects itself without any intervention from the wearer. The stainless steel case and bracelet in the EQB 1100 are finished with a combination of brushed and polished surfaces that, when held in the hand, have a weight and quality of finish that people consistently associate with watches at 3 to 4 times the price. The chronograph function is accurate to 1/5 of a second. The accuracy of the base timekeeping is quartz, meaning it loses or gains a fraction of a second per day rather than the 4 to 6 seconds per day that COSC certified Swiss mechanical movements are permitted to lose or gain. Casio does not charge you $2,000 for making a watch that keeps better time than a certified Swiss chronometer. They charge you $300 because they are Casio and they have never needed to build a mythology to justify a price. The fourth watch costs between $450 and $600 and is the single most discussed value proposition in the integrated bracelet sports watch category that the collector community has engaged with in the last 5 years. The Tissot PRX in its quartz version at approximately $395 and its automatic Powermatic 80 version at approximately $650 is a direct conversation with the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak in design language at a price point that makes the AP look like a different species. Tissot is owned by the Swatch Group and manufactures in Switzerland, which means Swiss-made appears on the dial and reflects a genuine manufacturing reality rather than the assembly in Switzerland with components from elsewhere story that the Swiss-made label often conceals at this price tier. The PRX case is integrated, meaning the bracelet flows directly into the case without a visible lug, which is the design feature that distinguishes the Royal Oak and the Nautilus from every other sports watch and that costs in those contexts between $10,000 and $30,000 to acquire on the primary market. The Tissot PRX integrated bracelet costs under $400, and the finishing quality of the bracelet integration has been described by multiple independent reviewers as phenomenal at the price point, with engineering and surface quality that should cost considerably more given the Swatch Group manufacturing scale required to produce it. The Powermatic 80 movement in the automatic version delivers 80 hours of power reserve, more than any similarly priced Swiss automatic on the market, with a silicone hairspring resistant to magnetism. The PRX exists because Tissot decided that the design language of the most coveted watches in the world should be accessible at a price anyone can consider. The market has responded by making it one of the most photographed affordable watches of the last decade. The fifth watch costs between $400 and $500 and is the benchmark against which every military-inspired field watch in the entry to mid-market is measured. The Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical is not a Japanese watch or a quartz watch or a watch designed to evoke a category above its price. It is exactly what it appears to be, a Swiss-made mechanical field watch with a hand-wound movement in a 42mm case with a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal, an exhibition caseback, and a lume application on dial and hands that was designed for genuine legibility in low-light conditions. Hamilton has been making watches since 1892 and has been Swiss-owned by Swatch Group since 2003, but the brand's identity is rooted in American military watch production, specifically in the watches Hamilton supplied to the United States military during the Second World War, the Korea conflict, and the Vietnam era. The Khaki Field Mechanical's design is a direct descendant of those military references, and the hand wound movement, the caliber H50, delivers 80 hours of power reserve and keeps time to within an accuracy standard competitive with any mechanical watch at any price. The case at 42mm is large enough to read easily, the lug-to-lug measurement is proportionate, the crown sits at 3 o'clock in the military position, and the whole object has the quality of something that was designed to work rather than to impress. People who own both the Khaki Field Mechanical and watches costing 3 to 5 times its price consistently report wearing the Hamilton more often. That is not unusual, that is the point. The sixth watch costs between $150 and $250 and is the watch that the collector community calls the gateway drug, a term applied to first objects that generate an obsession nobody anticipated going in. The Seiko 5 Sports is a line of automatic watches that Seiko has been producing since 1963, and that currently retails in a range of configurations and dial treatments starting at approximately $150 for the most basic references and climbing to around $300 for the more elaborately finished pieces. The value proposition is simple and consistently remarkable. For under $200, you can own an automatic watch with an in-house Seiko movement, a 24 jewel caliber, a day-date complication displayed at 3 o'clock, 100 meters of water resistance, a stainless steel case and bracelet, and a display case back. The movement inside is not a COSC certified movement. It keeps time within approximately 10 to 15 seconds per day in average conditions, which is honest for an entry automatic and which matters less than the experience of wearing an automatic watch and understanding for the first time what the community has been discussing. The day-date display at this price point with this movement quality at this water resistance. In a watch this well-proportioned should not cost under $200. It costs under $200 because Seiko has been making it for 60 years and can produce it at a scale no competing brand can match. Every watch collector in the world has a Seiko 5 story. Almost all of them begin with surprise. The 7th watch costs between $300 and $500 and is the most sophisticated quartz watch available at any price, in the literal technical sense of what sophisticated means in a timekeeping instrument. The Citizen EcoDrive ProMaster is a solar-powered quartz watch that converts any light source, natural or artificial, into electrical energy stored in a cell that Citizen guarantees will power the watch for approximately 6 months in complete darkness on a full charge. There is no battery to replace. There is no movement to service at 5-year intervals. There is a quartz oscillator accurate to within 15 seconds per year, powered indefinitely by ambient light in a case rated to 200 meters of water resistance. The ProMaster's movement and construction were originally developed for professional diving use, where battery failure is a safety concern rather than an inconvenience, and the engineering that went into making the solar system reliable under those conditions is built into every unit at every price point in the EcoDrive range. The case finishing at the $300 to $500 level uses a combination of brushed and polished stainless steel that is cleaner than the finishing on Swiss watches at twice the price. The dial is legible, the lume is applied consistently, and the entire object has the quality of something that was engineered to a specification rather than assembled to a price point. Most people who pick up a Citizen EcoDrive ProMaster and do not already know what it costs assess it at approximately 4 times its actual retail. The 8th watch costs between $340 and $400 and is the piece in this list that most directly challenges the Swiss watch industry's claim that entry-level Swiss automatic quality is unavailable below the $1,000 tier. The Longines Hydro Conquest at the bottom of the Longines sports range uses the ETA 2824-2 movement, a Swiss-made automatic that has powered watches from entry-level to mid-tier across dozens of brands for 50 years, and whose reliability record is one of the most documented in mechanical watchmaking. The case is stainless steel, 41mm, with a ceramic bezel insert in the rotating diver's configuration, and the water resistance is 300 meters, which is more depth rating than any professional diver will ever require in recreational diving. The Hydro Conquest at its lowest price point currently represents the lowest entry point to a genuine Swiss-made automatic with ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal, and 300-meter water resistance in the entire market. Longines has been making watches since 1832 and is owned by Swatch Group, which means the manufacturing scale behind this watch is considerable. The Swiss-made label on the dial of the Hydro Conquest reflects a genuinely Swiss movement in a case assembled in Switzerland in a way that the label does not always reflect at this price tier in the broader market. For $340, it is the most complete specification available in the entry Swiss sports watch category. The 9th watch costs between $100 and $150 and is the watch on this list that generates the most surprise when the price is disclosed after the piece is examined in person. The Casio G-Shock GA2100, known in the collector community as the Casio, for the obvious reason that its octagonal bezel is the most direct visual reference to the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak that any brand has ever produced at any price, is a carbon core reinforced resin case watch that weighs almost nothing while conveying a solidity of construction that suggests a much heavier and more expensive object. The movement inside is Casio's own quartz caliber, accurate to within 15 seconds per month, powered by a standard battery with approximately 3 years of life per cell. The lug design, the integration between strap and case, the dial's layered construction, and the overall proportion at 44mm all contribute to the impression of a watch from a much higher price tier. The AP comparison is not accidental. The design community noted the similarity immediately when the GA2100 was released in 2019. Audemars Piguet noted it too, reportedly with less enthusiasm. The collector community embraced it completely because, for $100, anyone can wear an object that makes the conversation the Royal Oak makes without the $45,000 waiting list and the dealer relationship theater. The Casio is the most democratic watch of the last decade and the most honest thing the watch industry has produced in years, by a brand that was not trying to make a statement and made one anyway. The 10th watch costs between $350 and $500 and is the one that most consistently produces the response this list was built around. Someone picks it up, turns it over, hands it back, and says that cannot be under $500. The Orient Star Classic is the watch Orient makes when they want to demonstrate that the gap between their Bambino line and their Grand Seiko parents' price tier can be crossed in a single piece at an accessible price point. The Orient Star uses the Orient Caliber F6R24, an in-house movement with a power reserve indicator displayed on the dial, a feature normally associated with watches above the $2,000 tier because the additional mechanism required to drive it adds complexity and costs that most brands at this price level decline to absorb. The power reserve indicator sits at 9 o'clock on a subdial, showing you in real time how much energy remains in the mainspring in a display that reads as sophisticated because it is sophisticated. The case is 41mm in stainless steel, the crystal is sapphire, the finishing uses alternating brushed and polished surfaces on both the case and the integrated bracelet, and the dial has applied hour markers in a tone that catches the light in a way that printed indices do not. The exhibition caseback shows the decorated movement. The whole object in the hand reads as a $1,200 watch. It costs $450 because Orient has been building in-house movements in Japan for over 70 years and has never needed to charge for the mythology of watchmaking. They charge for the watch. Here's the thing that all 10 of these watches have in common. None of them are secrets. None of them are new. The Seiko Presage has been in production for over a decade. The Orient Bambino has been recommended by every serious watch writer in the community for longer than most people reading this have been interested in watches. The Tissot PRX generated some of the most enthusiastic independent reviews of any watch launched in the last 5 years. The Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical has been on every best under 500 list published since the list format was invented. The watches are not hidden, they are just sitting next to the watches with the marketing budgets, the heritage stories, the ambassador endorsements, and the boutique theater. They are sitting quietly while the brands with more money to spend on explaining why their watch is worth the price do exactly that. The watch industry is counting on you to read the explanation and forget to examine what is inside the case. It is counting on you to buy the story and mistake it for the object. Every watch on this list is an argument that the object matters more than the story. The argument has been there the entire time. All you had to do was pick one up.